think I see Katie.
Hi, Amanda.
Oh, hi, this is Emily. I'm using Amanda's account.
So sorry.
No, don't worry at all. I saw a couple versions of you, maybe like an audio version.
Yeah, I was trying to join my iPad, and the password was really crazy. So I was like, well, let me join my phone and then try the iPad just so I could see a little better. So
Oh,
that
that's
was the
fine.
multiple sign-ons.
No, no worries at all. Well, so folks may trickle in. It's totally optional, if you want to keep your camera off, keep your microphone on or off, totally up to you. But it is, kind of interactive in the sense that if you do have a question or you want to kind of share the screen, you're always welcome to, but no pressure.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. So as we get set up, if you do have, of course, your mat and whatever, is, a grounding to you, maybe blanket or something, our practice will be slower tonight. But if you do have a pillow, that would be great because we're going to start in a supported posture and a pillow would be really nice.
Okay, great. I'll go grab one.
Perfect. Thank you. Hello, Kate. Welcome. And Katie's back. Great. Oh, Katie, you have a beautiful setup there. That looks amazing.
Oh, thank you. Since it was so nice outside, I thought I'd take advantage of the weather.
Absolutely. Oh, I'm so happy for that. Hello, Katie. Or Kate, sorry. So as we're getting set up here, if you have a pillow, that would be really helpful for tonight. Not absolutely mandatory, but we're going to start in a bit of a supported posture. So our practice will be a little bit slower tonight. Probably no vinyasa unless it comes to us. We need to. But these sunset practices are a beautiful way to kind of close down the week and prepare for a new one. So, I'll let Kate get settled, but we'll go ahead and get started. So if you want to, wherever you are, just come to a comfortable seated position. Get our practice going. Oh, Kate has a beautiful setup as well. All right. So beginning our practice, just closing down the eyes. Beginning to tune into the breath that brought us to this space, albeit a virtual space, that's okay. Still a space that we hold for the 3 of us, maybe 4 of us. Start to let any tension that you brought here with you tonight, let it go. Maybe invite emotion with that release. Maybe it's a roll through the shoulders, maybe a gentle circle of the neck. Maybe invite a smile to wash over your face. You've gotten here, the hard work is over. The next hour is all for you. Tonight we start with no prescription, no description of the breath, just an invitation to notice. Notice where you are today, where you are right here in this moment. As the seasons begin to change, we can take advantage of some more outdoor time, which is beautiful. But I've been thinking a lot in my day about this element of change. And something I brought with me here tonight is the thought that we are not waiting. We are growing in our capacity to be prepared for what's to come. We are not just waiting for the season to change, for this way of life to change, for things to become back to normal. We've waited longer than that now, I think, to believe that there's an on-off switch. We are not just waiting, we are growing in our capacity to be prepared for what's to come. The uncertainty is overwhelming sometimes, and it can leave us with more questions than answers. It might make us wonder if we are headed in the right direction. Might make us wonder if we should be trying to push forward a little more, or to learn a little more, or to be still. There's all this back and forth, like waves tossing over one another in a tireless sea. But for all that has changed and all that has stayed the same, for every mixed feeling, and all the words that went unsaid, you are still being led into the arms of boundless peace, allowing you to rest, breathe deep, take heart, and keep going. Breathing in all that work that we do on a daily basis, on an hourly basis, every single minute, every second, to move forward in that change. Let this be where you find strength. Find the strength in the hope tonight and every day. So in order to honor that practice, tonight we begin from a still position. finding that moment of stillness, of peace, rather than pushing forward and feeling pressure to find another workout in our day or to do more. We begin right where we are. Hold that heart space close to our soul and sit with it. Bring one hand to your heart, one hand to your belly, and we take 5 intentional deep breaths. Eyes can stay closed, bringing that attention into the heart space. You are safe where you are. You can breathe deeply, let go of the fear of the breath. We come here to get rid of the shame of our deep breaths, to get rid of any fear surrounding that deep, deep inhale. A nice full exhale, maybe longer than the inhale. Remember, while you are waiting, you are not just waiting. You are growing in your capacity to actually be prepared for what is to come. This right here, this moment, these moments of breath, prepare us better than anything else we could do. After your last deep exhale, bring your hands to prayer and heart center. We begin with one Om to start our practice. Option to join in, to hum, or just to listen. If you're joining us, big inhale, exhale all your air. Inhale for Om. Beautiful. Go ahead and flutter open your eyes. If you have a pillow, now would be a great time to set it up on your mat. My pillow is circular, so I'll set it up long ways. We're beginning in a supported fish position tonight. So we send our hips parallel with the long edge of the mat, and we just roll back onto the pillow, opening up the chest, maybe letting the head rest. In our fish pose, we often have our arms bent by our sides, but option to take a nice chest opener and just release through the shoulders here. If you find that your head is too low for your liking, you can always shift your tailbone forward, roll back onto the pillow, depending on how big it is, and lay onto it with your neck supported. Go ahead and rest into this position here. If you're outside, maybe taking in the sounds around you. Allowing yourself to be still, relaxing into this stillness, not wanting or shoulding anything, wishing to be more productive. Just honor this moment right here, sit with it. you find any tension in your hip flexors, go ahead and bend your legs, bend your knees. You can find a butterfly position with your knees to relax through the hips. We stay here for 5 full breath cycles. Maybe playing with the angle of your butterfly position. Seeing what feels good in the hips tonight, what feels intuitive to the body, that is where we stay. Our goal for our practice tonight follows a bit of a different sequence. It is to find activation more in the form of awakening and then release. So we begin by opening up the heart space, allowing the possibility of something new, opening ourselves to this practice. After your last deep exhale, find yourself on your elbows. Gently press yourself up to your elbows being bent, and then go ahead and close your knees like a book if you have them bent. Gently support yourself to roll all the way up. We're going to get rid of the pillow just for now. You might find it again later. Maybe scooting yourself back a little farther. We're going to find that same position we just found, minus the pillow. So we're going to send ourselves onto our elbows, propping up. Right away, we find a little bit of activation through the core. That's good heat. We want it there. We begin very slow marches with our knees. Just one knee up, and then even slower, let it go. Our goal here is to find stability in the core, not to the point of shakes. If you find yourself shaking or the neck starting to fatigue, you can always drop down and do this from your back. Just finding one knee lift, not crossing tabletop, and then slowly letting it go. Without telling our core that it's weak or how it needs to work or any of those messages we often give to our core, tonight we begin with, where are you? I see you, I feel you, I know that you are there. Let me find you where you are. So we tune into the core. We figure out how it already works to support us, and then we build from there. Wherever you are, take 3 more sets all the way through, maybe trying a few on your elbows if you haven't already. Feeling what that does to the back. When we move so quickly through our day, we often don't take the time to notice what our body already does for us and how we can best serve that or support it. After your last sigh, go ahead and press yourself all the way back up to a seated position. Then bend your knees. We find a true butterfly pose here. Bending over, maybe grabbing the toes, gently pulling down, finding a release in the low back. We'll be here for just a moment, so you have time to explore either side. I should say a long moment. If you want to try leaning to one side and then the other, feel what that does to the low back. When you find yourself in the center, go ahead and send your hands long towards the top edge of your mat. Once they reach contact with the earth, push through the fingertips, almost like you're sending your hips farther back. You find a stretch in the side seat there. Kind of like the beginning of a pigeon pose. Elbows are active, arms are pushing. Upper back starts to round, maybe let the head and neck go, chin to chest. Keep breathing here. Listening to our body, amplifying that voice from within. Last breath cycle here. Open mouth, exhale. Go ahead and gently press yourself back up. Adding some spinal mobility here. Close your knees and then send them parallel. Feet are parallel to each other. Knees are bent, and we're just gonna roll all the way down until we get to our back. Now from here, scoot your feet in so that you can just barely touch your heels. This is an option for where we begin our bridge pose, but if you know that something else works better for you, you go there. Maybe feet a little bit farther out, or maybe even turning out a little bit wider. Whatever works for you. If you're coming with me, we're sending our hips high for 3 rounds of bridge to get a little bit of a back bend in our practice. Pressing the palms down into the earth. Big inhale. Open mouth, exhale, let it go. Melt the shoulder blades into the mat. Elbows touch. On your next inhale, rise your hips high to the sky, powering from underneath of the glutes and hold. Option to send your arms overhead like a giant beach ball, or maybe just to reach towards the sky, allowing that to lift your hips up 1 more inch. Hold for 3, 2, and 1. Very slowly, 1 vertebra at a time, lower yourself down. Arms come by your sides. Windshield wiper out your knees if that feels good to you. Now, if that was easy, if you need more, there are options. But also honor that ability to stay still, to not want more, to close down the week, whatever your body needs. If you need a little bit more, come with me. We're just going to add some balance into this. Second round of bridge. You know where you're going. Palms press into the mat. Inhale to lift up the hips. Now, if you're very stable here, option just to come to the toes. You might feel a little bit of activation in the quads there. If that's good heat, let it stay. If that's not, drop the heels. Second option is to very slowly press all your weight into one hip. Allow the other leg to rise. If you try this, very gently switch your legs after a few counts. Challenge here is not to allow the hips to rock side to side as we move and change legs. It's to keep that stability, as if we had both legs on the ground. Wherever you are, one more full breath cycle. Maybe you get one more side. And then slowly lower down. Windshield wiper out your feet or your your knees, your legs. And now our last variation. So if you found something you want to try, go ahead and take that. I'll offer one more add-on, adding a chest opener here. So we're already squeezing our shoulder blades behind the back. Maybe you reset the shoulders just a tad to open up that chest. After we lift our hips to the sky, we're going to clasp the hands underneath of the sacrum to really pull the shoulders open. If you are ready, inhale, lift your hips high to the sky. Hands can clasp underneath. Allow that chest opener to fall. Relax the neck. Release the tongue from the top of the mouth. We hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Slowly lower down. Very gently rock to one side like a fetal position. And then gently push yourself back up. We're just going to do a counter pose to our bridge. Send the feet long towards the front edge of the mat. Arms reach up overhead. Hinge from the hips. Find a gentle, gentle forward fold. Once you find something that you can grab onto, whether it's feet, shins, maybe it's the back of your thighs, whatever works, see if you can inhale, find a straight spine. Exhale, release. We often start this position with a bend, a big curve in the upper back, and then we can't get any farther, right? I offer this inhale extension. We find that hinge right here, and then exhale, let yourself melt from there. You might find a lot more mobility than you thought. One more round here. Stretching the backs of the legs, rounding the upper back. Very gently pressing yourself back up. From here, we're going to invite some sun salutation breath. Legs can be long, they can be crossed if that works for you, to find a nice, stable, kind of 4 corners of the sit bones. Arms rise up with the inhale. We gaze up. Exhale, pull them down through heart center. Head and neck can follow, inviting a baby back bend. Inhale, arms up overhead. Exhale, pull them down through heart center. Beautiful job. Inhale, arms up. Maybe you add a tad bit of a back bend. You feel that core turn on. That's what we want. Exhale, bring it down through heart center. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, pull down through heart center. 5 more on your own, maybe closing down the eyes. Allowing the breath to deepen every round. Maybe the arms get even bigger with that breath. Beautiful job. After your last round, just come to stillness in the center. We're warming up our back with the breath. We might feel some expansion into the back, the mid-back as we breathe. That's what we want. Gently flutter open your eyes. We're coming over onto all fours, continuing to warm up the spine. In our all fours position, wrists are right under shoulders, knees are right under hips. If you are in a harder place, option to just double up your mat. You can add a little fold in the center if that feels good. I'm gonna leave mine flat, but that's always available to you. We're just beginning with some cat-cows. I invite you to add that same breath we just worked on into this motion. The breath allows the spine to get even deeper, to release and to bend. Inhale, belly scoops down, gaze shifts up, cow pose. Exhale, tuck the tailbone, tuck the chin, roll through the spine, cat pose. Keep going on your own, just finding one extension and one compression. Think of drawing a J with the top of your tailbone. It isn't fixed in space, it can move with the spine. Wherever you are, 3 more full cycles. Maybe you find a little bit more motion every time. Maybe you pull back if your body tells you you need to. You listen, amplifying that inner voice. Let it be the loudest voice in the room right now, even louder than mine. Coming to stillness in the center. Go ahead and shift your weight side to side. Release any tension that we built by holding the hips. We're going to find a gentle twist through the spine. Inhale, extend your right leg straight back behind you. Exhale, just tap the toe onto the ground. Inhale, we're going to twist away from that leg, rising the left arm up high to the sky. And exhale, keep the arm lifted. Now, your option is to keep this back leg at a kickstand, or if you'd like, you can bend the back knee, see if you can reach around and grab that foot. If you're in this twist, see if you can open your torso so that your left shoulder opens up. Drishti maybe looks or shifts to the ceiling.
Please charge now.
Or back behind you. We hold for 3, 2, and 1. Gently reverse out how you came into it. Go ahead and replace the knee, the hand, and shake side to side. Beautiful job. Gently, we take a child's pose, sending our hands long in front of us, knees widen. We press back, release here. Don't worry, we'll get the other side. Just sit back into this child's pose. One more full breath cycle. And when you are ready, gently press yourself back up to a tabletop. Reset the knees and the hands. We find the other side. Inhale, left leg comes straight back behind. Exhale, tap the toe down. Inhale, gently pressing through the left hand. Allow the right hand to rise. Find that twist. Exhale, let the arms stay. Now same option as the other side. To bend the back leg, maybe reach around, grab that foot. If you tried it on the other side, maybe try it here. But it's absolutely fine if the sides are different. Open invitation to release and let it go. To take whatever's best for your body. Wherever you are, allow that top shoulder to open if you're choosing that twist. Maybe you find a half bind if that works better for your shoulder. Holding here to breathe. One more full breath cycle. If you fall out, don't worry, come on back into it. And exhale, let it go. Reverse out how you came into it. Reset the knee, rock side to side. Maybe you add some larger circles. We don't have a child's pose this time, but we can still release through the hips in a more active way. Coming onto our knees, tuck the toes. We send our hips high for our first downward facing dog. Feet are 6 inches apart. Hands are right in front of the shoulders, pressing the hips back. Active shoulders. Spiraling down and away. Thumbs and first finger pressing into the mat. Big clearing breath here. Gaze shifts forward. Gently walk to meet your hands. Find a halfway lift. Spine grows long. And exhale, let it go. Feel how much more open the hamstrings might be. Inhale, rise all the way back up till you reach the top of your mat. Gaze shifts up and then lower hands down through heart center. We're going to layer on that same breath that we had before, not moving from our mountain pose here, just adding the breath overhead and pulling it down, inviting that back bend into the spine from a standing position. You know where to go. Inhale, arms rise overhead, and exhale, pull them down through heart center. At your own pace, feet about hip width apart. Inhale to let the arms rise overhead and exhale to pull that energy down to the heart space. 2 more wherever you are. Add that back bend at the top. We're leading up to our camel pose, the peak of our practice tonight. After your last exhale, bend the knees. We come down into our forward fold so that we can plant the hands and step back into our plank. Our first longer high plank of the evening. So really root down through the core that we started with at the beginning of our practice. Tucking the tailbone down, feeling that strength in the shoulders. We just warmed up in down dog. We hold for 3, 2, 1. Lower slowly, elbows by the sides till we reach the earth. Hands can come by your sides, let it go. One cheek on the mat. We release for just a moment before we go into 2 rounds of locust. Option to send your arms out to a T or to send them back by your sides, palms facing down. Wherever you choose to be, forehead touches the mat, big toes all the way up through the legs, zip together, and then we rise, head, neck, chest, and legs at the same time. Inhale, everything lifts. Find that flying position. Hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let it go. One cheek to the mat. Toes touch, heels fall open. One more breath here. Then we reset, second round. Zip those heels all the way through the thighs, back together. Maybe reset your arms or try a different position. Forehead touches the mat. On your next inhale, everything rises. Find the highest height you have found yet. We hold for 6, for 5, 3, 2, 1. Let it go. Maybe opposite cheek touches the mat. Option to bend your knees, rock side to side. Release that low back. Now pressing yourself up through tabletop. We're going to send our knees a little bit farther forward, sitting back onto the feet. We're just warming up the backs of the legs, finding that deep, deep bend through the legs. I should say warming up the backs of the feet. Starting in our hero pose before we find seated fixed firm. Go ahead and untuck the toes. Now we're gonna go all the way down. Our goal is to walk ourselves down onto the elbows, that same elbow position we had before. But if you know that you can walk yourself all the way down onto your back, go ahead and widen your knees just a little bit so that your seat can come in between. But if you can't, or you don't want to try that tonight, no problem at all. I'll stay with you. We're going to keep our knees together. That works better for my knees, as well as the toes, maybe the heels. Now from here, we're just going to walk ourselves back just a little bit. The goal here is more to find a stretch through the front of the shins. If anything starts to feel uncomfortable, you think that it would be better to have your hips a little wider so that you could sit back, feel free to do that. Whatever works for you. Experimenting a little bit with the position. Maybe finding that good stretch in the shins. You can always stay propped up like this before you walk yourself down. Hold and breathe for 2 more full breath cycles. A bit of a tiny warm up for our camel. After your last exhale, go ahead and walk yourself back up. rise your tailbone off your heels and just allow a little bit of a twist through the spine. Release. Now coming into our camel posture here, 2 rounds. The peak of our practice tonight, finding the most bend through the spine, but knowing that it is always okay to listen to the body to pull back. We start with hands on hips, toes can be tucked behind, legs are just about hip width apart, knees track right underneath the hips, and now we send our hands to almost like where our back pockets would be. We're starting to walk our hands down the legs until maybe we find the heels. That might be where we stay. Option to maybe untuck the toes if you want the heels to be a little bit lower, and you stay here, finding that stretch through the quads, eventually allowing the back to bend. Hold here and breathe. Whenever you are ready, gently walk yourself back up. Hold in this kneeling position for 1 round of breath. It's okay if you feel a little dizzy. And then we'll just sit back down onto our heels. Reset before our 2nd round. Amplify that inner voice. Make it be the loudest voice in the room here. What do you need for this 2nd round? What can you let go? When you are ready, bring yourself back up. Same entry as before. Maybe you keep the toes on the ground this time if you know you have a little bit more mobility, but do what feels right for you. Maybe walk the opposite hand down first, walking down until you find your heels. Only then maybe letting the head drop. Find that opening through the chest. Release the tongue from the top of the mouth. Let the jaw be slack. Pressing the hips forward, finding that nice bend for 3, 2, and 1. Gently start to walk yourself back up. Sit yourself back down onto your heels for that kneeling reset. Once you are ready, hands come forward. We find that tabletop position, only to have our knees go as wide as the mat, hips come back, child's pose. We may have found some compression in the spine. Allow this child's pose to lengthen the upper back, maybe even the mid-back. Pressing through the hands to send your hips farther back. And then releasing that press if you just need to fall into this pose. Wherever you are, 1 more full breath cycle. Then very gently, as slow as you can, press yourself up and then just come to one side, swing the legs around. We're headed down onto our backs. Legs come in front. Maybe move some flesh out of the way for a nice juicy roll all the way down. Hands come in front. Let them be your guide for your shoulders. And then we scoop through the low belly, pulling the core in. We lower one vertebrae at a time, as slow as possible. No counts, just feeling. Once you get onto your back, bend your knees. Rock them side to side. Release the low back. And then find them in the center, knees hip width apart. And then go ahead and knock the knees together. This might feel better if your feet are a little bit wider, so go ahead and widen a little bit. We might not feel anything right away, but slowly we find a release through the low back. Allow it to melt into your mat, your space, your surface. Let the breath deepen. Let the mind calm. Let the thoughts be still water. One more deep inhale. Open mouth exhale. Gently lower your legs all the way down onto the mat. Toes can fall open. Find your resting pose. Shavasana. Scan the body. Reset any position where you're holding tension. Mount the shoulder blades down behind the back. Let the elbows spiral open, hands up to the sky, receiving. Allow the breath to deepen. Feel the belly expand and then return. Finding 5 more intentional breaths. After your last exhale, go ahead and invite some gentle movement back into the body. Maybe wiggling through the wrists, the ankles. Again, maybe allowing that little smile to wash over your face. Maybe bending the knees if you're on your back and rocking from side to side until you find yourself stable on one side to press up to a nice seated position. Eyes can stay closed. Hands return, one on the heart, one on the low belly. Feel that heart beating. Feel that breath expand the chest. With your exhale, find home. Take one final breath just for you to seal this practice, to close down your week, to begin a new one. To hold that energy in the heart space. Hands come to prayer. I bow to you, honoring your practice. The light in me honors the light in each and every one of you. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining. Have a wonderful rest of your night. If you want to unmute and say anything, you're welcome to. If not, enjoy your evening. Hope to see you again next week.
Thank you so much. It was a great class.
Oh, thank you so much. It was so great to see you, Katie. Hope to see you again.
You too, Emily. Thanks. Bye.
Bye. Bye, Kate. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful night. Namaste.